they just were opening Georgia 400.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, why? You know, why do we need to get to Roswell faster?
Hi guys, Matt LaMarsh here with Keller Williams First Atlanta. Hope you guys are doing well. If you have a business or a nonprofit that you'd like to see featured here, please feel free to give me a call at 678-687-4397 or shoot me an email to matt@mattlamarsh.com. Thanks so much.
My name is Bruce Piefke. I'm the producer of Caffeine and Octane and Caffeine and Exotics, two big car-related events that are held in Dunwoody and Sandy Springs.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And you're also a resident of Sandy Springs?
Yes. My family moved here in 1960, and I attended elementary school. My high school is right around here where the Kroger is now.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of changes, you know, since we started here in the 60s.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what's your favorite thing about Sandy Springs?
About Sandy Springs is, well, it's the people, it's the neighborhoods, it's the streets, it's, since we became a city, it's a sense of community, and it's the location. You know, in 1960, this was about as far out as you could go and still claim to be in Atlanta.
Sure.
In fact, when I got my driver's license, they just were opening Georgia 400.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, why? You know, why do we need to get to Roswell faster? That's another time and place, you know. So it has changed a lot.
Well, tell us more about your background, kind of how you got into developing and bringing car shows to this area.
Sure. Well, grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so always wanted to own my own business, and really started my own business when I was 23 years old. It evolved over time into an event company, so I've been producing events probably since the mid-90s. So I was kind of known as the event guy in town, and I had a lot of clients, and some of them radio stations, which, you know, at the time, that was really social media. You know, you connected with a radio station, they told you what was happening, you know, based on your interests and your demographic. Of course, it's all pretty much been replaced by, you know, the internet now. But, you know, I produced events that fit certain groups. And about 5-6 years ago, I was hired by Auto Trader, who owned this event, Caffeine and Octane. And they had a plan to take it nationally, and I worked with them for a couple of years. They had some changes. I had the opportunity to buy it, and that led to me taking over Caffeine and Octane. I moved it to Perimeter Mall. I got lucky, right time, right place. I pitched NBC on the idea of a television show based on the people and the passion that they have and the stories behind these cars. And NBC loved it, and now we're about to start filming our 4th season. Fantastic. For NBC Sports.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
very
very
cool.
exciting. Yeah.
So tell us a little more about. Obviously, right now we're sitting in the middle of City Springs, where
Correct.
You guys have an event coming up at the end of April. So
Yes.
Tell us a little more about how and why you decided to kind of break off the two separate events.
Sure. So here for City Springs, we're going to be producing the Caffeine and Exotics event. Exotic cars are a subgroup of the overall, you know, car enthusiast nature,
Sure.
you know, format. And I felt like there were a lot of exotic car owners that weren't coming to Caffeine and Octane just because it was so big and so broad. And I got with a couple of them and said, I've got this idea to spin out an event and call it Caffeine and Exotics. We did that about 4 or 5 years ago, moved to Lenox Square, very successful for several years. And then being a resident of Sandy Springs, of course, I watched them build all of this and it come together. And you know, I thought it was time to move the event, you know, closer to Sandy Springs and Dunwoody, where we do Caffeine and Octane. And, you know, met with the people here and decided to move it here for the last 2 events in 2018. And I was just very happy with it. The people coming, the atmosphere, the brick paths, the display of cars was just, you know, much more inviting than just being in a parking lot. It really gave them a chance to show off the cars. And importantly, my sponsors loved it. So we moved it here, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I attended the last one in the fall. It was, like you said, it felt perfect.
Yes, yes.
It was just a very neat mix of landscape, the architecture around us, and
yes,
the beautiful cars.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great.
It was just packed.
Exactly, it was, and it was a great use of this facility because it got people to walk the whole grounds, and it's divided up enough to where I could kind of Porsches were in one area and Lamborghinis in another, and it lays out really nice, and it's just comfortable. It's a comfortable place to be. People had places they could go just to sit down and relax. They weren't standing up the whole time. We've got great public restrooms here, which is always important for events.
Absolutely.
And it worked out great. So we're excited to be coming back. First one's going to be April 28th. That's
Perfect.
Sunday morning.
Perfect.
Part of the magic of both of these events is that we get up early, we go have some fun, we get together with friends, and then we have the rest of the day, to spend with family and, the honey-do list.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of family, this is a family event.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
Certainly Caffeine and Octane is an enormous event and has been wildly popular.
Yes.
But I love to see kind of the next generation of car enthusiasts
Yes.
to come out of
Absolutely.
the woodwork for those events. And certainly Caffeine and Exotics will also be not just a photographer's dream.
Yes, yes.
But certainly for kids that of all ages that love cars.
It's great. I mean, we see it all the time. A lot of father-son, father-daughter, mother-son, mother-daughter combinations that come to the events. I'd say the thing that I'm the most proud of is how these events bring people together. Because car enthusiasts, people that love cars, car fans we call them, they're all walks of life, all income levels, all demographics, all ages, and and people can come together and have conversations and make new friends that they look different, they talk different, but they have this common passion that brings them together. So it's nice to see.
Absolutely. So tell us a little more about what's next for the shows, but also for you, for the brand.
Sure.
What's coming down the pipe?
Well, of course, I'm excited that we're beginning filming for season 4 for the TV show. That'll begin on April the 7th, coming up really soon. That's being distributed now worldwide in 65 countries by NBC Universal International. So that's very exciting. We're going to be branching out, doing some shows probably in some other cities, across the country. Nothing like we do here on a monthly basis, but some special events. We just finished up the Atlanta International Car Show downtown, where we had a 20,000 square foot exhibit, that was sponsored by Capital One. Nice. Capital One is kind of our big new sponsor that what I've been from a business standpoint, the business side of this, it's a little challenging because we don't charge admission, we don't charge people to park their cars, everything's free on the consumer facing side, so we rely on sponsors. And Capital One is my first really big sponsor that crosses all platforms, and what I'm selling is the experiential piece of events, the online digital piece, because our social media reaches so many people, far more than even come to the events. Then of course there's the nationally broadcast television show, so they're buying into that whole cross promotion for all platforms. So that's for me, that was proof of my business model,
sure.
Which
Absolutely.
was very important.
Very cool.
Yeah. As an extension of the brand, I mean, once you have a brand, and I like to say, I'm very protective of the brand, and because it has to be authentic. Car guys will smoke you out in a second, if you're trying to sell them something that they don't want. And so we try to be very authentic and loyal to the people that got us here. So, car guys, I mean, you see how many show up on a monthly basis. And our TV show has always been based on, of course, Caffeine and Octane. People assume that's coffee, which it is, because if you're going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you need something to motivate you to get out of bed.
Absolutely.
More than just a car show.
Absolutely.
So we serve a lot of coffee. So the TV show begins in a coffee shop, and so I just had this idea, if I could ever find an old garage I would love to turn it into a coffee shop and call it the Caffeine and Octane Garage, you know, decorate it like a authentic, everybody's dream garage that's a car guy. And sure enough, I started looking. I had my friends, the Macells, that live right here in Sandy Springs, started looking for me, and we found an old Firestone dealership up in North Springs here, you know, in Sandy Springs. And it was, you know, seemed like a nice setup. So we've been negotiating. We haven't finalized the deal yet, but we're hoping to have the Caffeine and Octane coffee shop right here in Sandy Springs.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, tell us where we can find you guys online, the website, phone number if there is one.
Sure.
How people can get in touch.
Sure. Best way to reach us is go online, caffeineandoctane.com or caffeineandexotics.com. We're always posting up, you know, the next show and general information. It'll also connect you to all of our social media, you know, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Very active. Car guys love to share pictures of their cars, so we have lots of great content, lots of great videos as well. So that's the best way. Info at highoctaneevents.com. Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much for
you,
your
Matt.
time.
Really appreciate it, Matt.
Thank you.
Sure.